Hey gamers, it's GrindThisGame here with a potentially controversial episode. I got a lot of comments on the last video I did where I was just kind of looking at Axie the game, the mechanics, and kind of the economy and some of the crazy prices for items and stuff. So this episode, I've been kind of doing some more research after a lot of the comments, so I figured I'd do an update video. It kind of coincided with this update from the developers that came out today, Axie Arena Season 18. And this kind of goes along into the theme of this, what this episode is going to be talking about, and that Axie Infinity is essentially currently a Ponzi scheme, and I'll kind of get into that later in the video. But there's some big adjustments here. So key points. We've adjusted SLP. SLP, for those of you who don't know, is the smooth love potion. It's one of the main currencies in the game. We've adjusted this earning mechanics by having the SLP cap for adventure mode to 50 and having the daily quest completion bonus to 25. Basically, all the people in the Philippines who are making money playing this game just got a massive salary cut because of this. But there's a reason they did this, and in this economic adjustments area here, they kind of go into it. Let's see here. It's reiterating the points from before. But their main concern was them looking at this SLP minted versus SLP burnt. And I'll link to this graph in the description if you guys want to take a look. So what's happening here? Let's look at the graph on the actual site here. You can see orange is the amount of SLP that's being burnt, basically destroyed. And the only way to destroy SLP in the game right now is to breed Axies. There's a cost to breeding, and when you do it, it gets destroyed, it gets spent. And then people playing the game in both PvP and adventure mode are earning SLP, and that's minted out of thin air. It gets created by code, and it gets put on the blockchain. And you can see here, let's look at some recent days. Minted 142 million, burned 62 million. On average, they're adding about 100 million on this day. It was really crazy. Look at this day here. This is probably when the bots went a bit wild, but minted 208 million, burned 37 million. So kind of on average over the last couple of weeks, there's 100 million SLP being added to the game every day. Now, when you add supply of something without changing the demand, what happens to the price? Let's look at the 90-day or the 14-day price of SLP. As you can see, it started out at 28 cents, and it's been falling. And when I woke up this morning, before I read the update, I kind of looked at this giant spike. I'm like, what happened? Something happened. So I went and I found the update. And this is kind of logical if you think about it. People are earning way less now. It's basically going to cause the it's going to cause the supply to shrink temporarily, and I think what you'll see is it's come up, and now you're probably going to just continue to enter the downward trend. Sure, there'll be ups and downs. Like if you look at kind of the going back more, there's ups and downs, there's crashes and whatnot, but the general trend over the last while has been down, down, down. The underlying problem is this mechanic of more players joining with the expectation they can make money from the game. And I'm going to go into that. But I wanted to show this tweet here from the head of growth, Geo here. I watched a recent podcast with him and a YouTuber. He warned about this on August 5th. We need to lower PvE rewards and increase PvP rewards. This will get the SLP supply back in balance with minting. It definitely will help in the short term, but the underlying problem exists. And that's where I'm going to go into these notes here. This is the controversial part. I have nothing against the developers of the game. I think the game's pretty cool. I just think the play to earn mechanic is kind of destined to fail. Similar to this, if you ever followed Diablo 3 and the real money auction house, it turned out to be a complete disaster. They had hyperinflation and they had to shut it down. I'll link to a article in the description about that use case. That happened several years ago, but it's a good example of why this might not work in the long term. So let's start with the definition of a Ponzi scheme, or at least a shortened definition. Ponzi scheme is an investment fraud that pays existing investors with funds collected from new investors. This is essentially what's happening right now. People come into Axie, they spend, $800, $900. Now it's going to cost even more to buy a team to play the game. Let's say on average $1,000. So they spend $1,000 and they hope to earn a return on that money somehow, either by getting scholars to play the game for them or by them playing the game on their own. And they could make 100 to 200 SLP per day playing and eventually recoup their investment and then start making money. But I want you guys to think about one major question. Who pays the players? All these people in the Philippines and other countries getting a salary or whatever, getting a paycheck. Who's paying them? It's other players. There's no like the company's not paying them. It's not a charity. The only way that players get paid is from other players. So it kind of fits this description here. And now maybe some changes in the future will somehow alleviate this, but I kind of don't see it being possible. I just got some more notes here. Most players play to earn real money. That's their primary motivation, right? That's why they're there. They're trying to earn a living. Some people play the game just for fun. Like that's what I was doing. I spent $900 the other day, just before my previous video, to buy my 3 Axies to try the game. It's fun. I enjoy it, but I don't think most people the active players are playing just for fun and investing that amount of money. I think probably 90% of them are trying to just earn a wage playing the game and not really interested in the game mechanics. That's just speculation though. SLP is minted out of thin air. I mentioned that already. And then it's destroyed. It's causing supply to go up. I talked about this stuff already, but this is probably going to happen. All the people who are making a certain amount of money, as the price of SLP falls, I think fewer and fewer players will be able to make enough money to make it viable. And eventually they'll probably just quit playing. Already talked about this a bit as well, why they reduced the SLP rates. They're talking about other SLP burning mechanisms that they want to add in the future. I want to talk about an example about that in a bit here, just to show that it's probably not going to help in the long term. There is no free lunch. Play to earn is basically a Ponzi scheme at the current moment. And a lot of people in the comments of the last video said, well, isn't Bitcoin a Ponzi scheme? And kind of it's a speculation for sure. I think it's so big and so entrenched now that, with companies like Tesla and there's a bunch of companies now that have put millions and millions or billions of dollars into Bitcoin. And maybe they'll have losses in the future, I'm not sure. But it kind of actually fits the definition in its current state. Here's another example of just kind of things that are going on due to the oversupply of SLP and the inflation of Axies in general. About 3 days ago on August 6th, the cheapest Axie you could buy cost about 0.12 ETH. And now they're about 0.087 as of this recording. And they continue to fall because now people are dumping all their Axies, all the crappy Axies. I think the high quality ones that are winning in PvP might retain most of their value, but I think most of the mediocre and crappy ones are just going to get liquidated. And the price will probably continue to fall. I don't know where the floor will be though. I'll link to this in the video description, but as mentioned, the Diablo 3 hyperinflation kind of it wasn't exactly the same scenario, but basically botters, people running bots to farm gold in the game and then sell it for real money, caused hyperinflation. Now Axie is a bit different because there are bots and they're kind of dealing with that, but you can think of a lot of these people playing just to earn money, not as bots, but as kind of like they're toiling away. They're doing manual labor essentially, even though it might be kind of fun to generate money. So it's probably not sustainable. Anyway, oh yeah, I was going to mention here a potential way to burn SLP in the future. This is just a hypothetical example. Imagine they allowed for 100 SLP to be burnt. That's about $21 US to add +1 max HP to your Axie. So some percentage of players, might do that. You could increase the rewards to try to make it more, more attractive. But let's assume 100% of the players did it. Right now, there's about 4 million Axies out there. Let's say everyone upgraded their Axies. That would burn about 400 SLP, 400 million SLP. But that would soak up the demand, the growth of the SLP for about 4 days, and during all those days, and continuing on into the future, all these new players would be continuing to churn out and generate new SLP. So I think any kind of band-aid that they kind of try to put on this wound, festering wound, it's just going to postpone the inevitable. I think maybe in the future the game will get to a state where it's not so much about money and people just play it for fun. I don't know how big that target market is, but if Axie prices fall dramatically, let's say down from $250 to, let's say, $1 or $5, it lowers the fee you have to pay to kind of get to play. And most games cost between 20 or 10 and $50. So if they can get it to a point where it costs about that much to play, I think it's viable and it will continue. But the play to earn mechanic right now just isn't really working. Anyway, I think I'll wrap it up there. I don't want to make it too long a video. Please don't flame me in the comments. I know it's gonna be crazy in the comments, and I'm totally up for a polite debate on the topic. Like I said, I have nothing against the developers of the game. I think the game itself is cool. I just think this mechanic is not sustainable. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.